Thanks for the memories.
John, look out! Okay?
Help us, please. He's with the baby. Hurry.
Where?
Television shows in the 1980s ran like clockwork. Stories resolved themselves weekly, and you knew what you were getting before the opening credits rolled. Modern streaming services promise complexity and surprise, but back then, audiences craved something different: reliability. The comfort of knowing that for 1 hour each week, the world made sense, problems got solved, and familiar faces welcomed you back like clockwork. That's what made 1980s television work. Dallas owned Friday nights. The Ewing family spent years circling the same themes of power, betrayal, oil money, and family loyalty twisted into knots. And viewers couldn't get enough. The Who Shot JR cliffhanger became a national obsession, not because it was clever storytelling, but because the show had spent years making J.R. Ewing someone you loved to hate. People threw viewing parties. Newspapers ran speculation pieces. The reveal drew over 80 million viewers, still one of the highest rated episodes in television history. But what kept people coming back every week was watching the Ewings destroy and rebuild alliances in that Dallas mansion, knowing full well they'd do it all over again next season. The show ran 13 seasons because it delivered exactly what it promised: wealthy people behaving badly in expensive clothing. Magnum PI made Hawaii feel like a character in itself, and Tom Selleck's mustache became more iconic than most actors' entire faces. The show balanced serious detective work with genuine warmth and humor. Magnum lived in a guest house on Robin Masters' estate, drove a Ferrari he didn't own, and solved cases while navigating his friendship with Higgins, the estate's proper British caretaker. Their bickering became the show's heartbeat. The series dealt with Magnum's Vietnam War past without turning it completely into his trauma. The supporting cast of TC and Rick felt like actual friends. Episodes could be lighthearted one week and genuinely moving the next. It ran 8 seasons because viewers wanted to visit that version of Hawaii every Thursday night, where crime got solved but friendships mattered more. 8 is Enough dominated early 1980s television by making a family of 8 children feel believable instead of chaotic. Tom Bradford, a newspaper columnist and widower, navigated raising teenagers and young adults while remarrying and blending families. The show tackled serious issues from drug use, teen pregnancy, and financial struggles. What made it work was the sheer normalcy of it all. Not every problem got solved in minutes. The kids made mistakes, learned lessons, then made different mistakes. The Bradford house felt lived in and loud, and viewers kept returning because it reminded them of their own chaotic family dinners. The show understood that family television didn't need gimmicks, it needed authenticity. The Dukes of Hazzard made a 1969 Dodge Charger named the General Lee more famous than most of the human cast. Bo and Luke Duke spent 7 seasons outsmarting Boss Hogg, jumping that car over creeks and dirt roads, and charming their way out of trouble with the help of their cousin Daisy. The show was absurd. Every single episode involved a chase, a scheme, and the General Lee flying through the air. It was uncomplicated fun. Roscoe P. Coltrane's bumbling police work, Boss Hogg's endless greed, and the Duke boys' good-natured rebellion created a formula that audiences never tired of. The Rockford Files was about a private investigator who struggled to pay rent. James Garner played Jim Rockford as a man who'd rather avoid a fight than win one, who lived in a trailer on a Malibu beach, and who solved cases through persistence and charm rather than violence. The show's genius was in making detective work feel like actual work. Rockford got beat up, stiffed on payment, and dragged into cases he didn't want. His relationship with his father, Rocky, provided the emotional core. Their scenes together felt real. The answering machine messages at the start of each episode became a beloved quirk, offering tiny glimpses into Rockford's chaotic professional life. When it ended, it left a gap that most detective shows since haven't managed to fill. If you're enjoying this walk through 1980s television, take a second and hit that like button. Subscribe if you want more of this kind of content. And down in the comments, tell me, What's the first 1980s show that comes to mind? I'm curious what stuck with you. Fantasy Island was a mysterious island where people's fantasies came to life, hosted by a white-suited man named Mr. Rourke and his diminutive assistant Tattoo. Hervé Villechaise's "De plane," became one of television's most recognizable catchphrases. Each episode featured different guests living out their fantasies, and the show used that structure to explore everything from romance to revenge to second chances. The island itself became a character, magical, slightly sinister, and always teaching its visitors lessons they didn't expect. Quincy M.E. turned a medical examiner into television's most passionate advocate for justice. And Jack Klugman made you believe that a man could care that deeply about corpses telling their stories. Quincy marched into offices and demanded answers, risking his career to expose wrongdoing. His relationship with his girlfriend, later wife, Denise, provided balance, though she often had to tolerate his obsessive dedication to the dead. The show ran 8 seasons because viewers appreciated seeing someone fight for people who couldn't fight for themselves, even if those people were already gone. Quincy made forensic science seem heroic before CSI franchises turned it into a television empire. Barnaby Jones gave audiences a grandfather detective who solved murders with experience and patience rather than fists or guns. Buddy Ebsen, already famous from the Beverly Hillbillies, played Jones as a widowed private investigator who came out of retirement to solve his son's murder and never quite retired again. What made it work was Ebsen's gentle, methodical approach. His relationship with his daughter-in-law, who joined the agency, added emotional weight without becoming melodramatic. The show's pace felt slower than other detective series. It respected its audience's intelligence and never rushed to flashy conclusions. Barnaby Jones proved that television didn't need youth and explosions to hold attention. The Incredible Hulk made a monster sympathetic by making David Banner the most tragic figure on television. Bill Bixby played Banner as a man cursed by his own scientific experiment, wandering from town to town, helping people while searching for a cure that never came. Lou Ferrigno's Hulk appeared whenever Banner's anger reached critical mass, providing the action that the show's premise required, but the heart of the series was always Banner's loneliness. Every episode showed the same structure. Banner arrives in a new town, befriends locals, gets pulled into their problems, transforms when threatened, then leaves before anyone discovers his secret. That repetition should have felt stale, but Bixby's performance gave it weight. You felt his exhaustion, his yearning for connection he couldn't maintain, his hope that maybe this time he'd find peace. Chips made California Highway Patrol motorcycle officers into television stars and turned highway patrol work into adventure. Eric Estrada's Ponch and Larry Wilcox's John Baker rode those motorcycles through Los Angeles freeways, responding to accidents, stopping criminals, and looking impossibly good in their tan uniforms. Ponch and John's partnership felt genuine, their camaraderie easy and unforced. The cases varied from serious to absurd, but the show never took itself too seriously. Motorcycle stunts and freeway chases provided the spectacle, while the partnership provided the warmth. The formula was simple, and audiences appreciated that simplicity. Vegas brought Las Vegas into living rooms every week, with Robert Urich playing Dan Tana, a private detective who drove a 1957 Thunderbird and worked cases on the Strip. The show used Las Vegas as more than just a backdrop. Tana worked for a casino owner, which gave him access to high-stakes situations and wealthy clients, but the show balanced glitz with grit. Cases ranged from missing persons to murder. Watching Vegas meant making a weekly trip to a city that promised excitement and danger in equal measure, all wrapped in neon lights and casino carpets. Knots Landing spun off from Dallas but quickly became its own entity, trading Texas oil money for California suburban drama. The show focused on a cul-de-sac where neighbors' lives intersected in interestingly complicated ways. Unlike Dallas's over-the-top wealth, Knots Landing grounded itself in middle-class concerns with mortgages, marriages, and career struggles. The Ewings occasionally appeared, linking the two shows, but Knots Landing never relied on that connection. The characters felt like actual neighbors, people you might know, even as their lives spiraled into melodrama. It proved that you didn't need oil empires to create compelling television. Sometimes a suburban cul-de-sac provided all the drama you needed. Which show from this list do you still stop and watch when you catch it on TV? I'd love to know. And here's something people forget. These shows spent time letting characters just exist. Not every scene drove plot forward. Sometimes people just talked, and that made them feel real. Family featured the Lawrence family, who faced real problems from cancer, infidelity, adoption, and divorce without melodrama. Sada Thompson and James Broderick played the parents with such naturalism that the show felt like watching actual family life unfold. Christy McNichol's Buddy became a breakout character, a tomboyish teenager navigating adolescence with humor and heart. Problems didn't always resolve neatly. Conversations felt real, messy, and sometimes left hanging. The show trusted that viewers wanted complexity, and it rewarded that trust. The Fall Guy gave Lee Majors a second television career as Colt Seavers, a Hollywood stuntman who moonlighted as a bounty hunter. The premise allowed the show to showcase actual stunts every episode, while maintaining a detective show structure. Colt's truck, covered in sponsor stickers, became iconic, and the show's theme song, performed by Majors himself, became a hit. The combination of action, humor, and guest appearances from real Hollywood stunt performers gave the show a unique appeal. Colt and his team, his cousin and a fellow stuntman, chased bail jumpers across California, performing ridiculous vehicle stunts that would make insurance companies weep. The Love Boat turned a cruise ship into television's most welcoming setting, where guest stars played passengers finding romance, reconciliation, or resolution during week-long cruises. The crew consisted of Captain Stubbing, Julie the cruise director, Isaac the bartender, Gopher the purser, and Doc the ship's doctor. The show's anthology structure meant each episode featured different stories, different guest stars, and different emotional tones. One passenger's storyline might be comedic, while another's dealt with loss or second chances. The Pacific Princess became a character itself. The show's appeal was pure escapism. Who wouldn't want to sail into the sunset while the cheerful crew solved their problems? Charlie's Angels made 3 female private investigators into cultural phenomena, with Farrah Fawcett's poster outselling the show itself. The premise was simple. 3 women working for a mysterious boss they never saw, solving crimes while looking impossibly glamorous. The show went through multiple cast changes, but the formula remained. The Angels would go undercover, get into danger, and save the day while their boss, Charlie, directed from afar. Critics called it Jiggle TV, dismissing it as exploitation. But the show gave its angels agency, intelligence, and competence, even as it showcased their beauty. They weren't damsels, they rescued themselves. The action sequences, the fashion, the camaraderie between the angels created something that transcended its cheesecake reputation. Millions watched because these were women solving problems, taking risks, and succeeding on their own terms, even if those terms included perfect hair and designer clothing. These shows worked because they understood something modern television often forgets. Predictability isn't a weakness when it's done right. We watched because television provided ritual, a shared experience that happened at the same time every week. Something to discuss at work the next day. Drop a comment with the one 1980s show you think modern TV could never recreate. And hit subscribe if you want more looks back at the television that shaped a generation. These shows weren't perfect, but they were ours, and they understood something essential. Sometimes the best stories were the ones that feel like coming home.